Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Irina K and my channel Astrobabushka. I'm a Vedic astrologer and I apply more than 3,000 years old knowledge to modern times. And today's video will be astrological plus psychological, which is astropsychological evolutionary analysis of the chart that I have in front of me, and this is a Prince Andrew. With all the noise around, I decided to check what the chart can tell me. And here are my notes. What I know about him in the beginning of my analysis. I know that he's one of the siblings of King Charles. I know that there's been some entanglement with scandals around Epstein. This is all I know. Of course, during my diving deep analysis into his psyche, I had to check some things, but the first maybe 10 to 15 minutes of this video will be just me scratching the surface of the chart. I was a little hesitant about making this video because it's such a big name. I don't want to get into any troubles. So disclaimer here. It is a pure speculation based on the chart that I have in front of me. We don't know if it's real chart or no. Date and time I took from official sources, as it's an Astrobank and it's official information on the royals websites. So after a little research, I figured that the time is not 3:30 of the birth, it's 3:38, but to be honest, it didn't make much difference at all. Maybe on the very deep divisional charts that is there. So the first 15 minutes or so, I will be talking about his psychological plus astrological evolutionary portrait. Then I will dive deeper into patterns of sexuality, what he was born into, which traits he has initially, and how it could develop with the years based on sequence of dasha or planetary periods that was activating in his life. And then in the end of the video, I will make a little dive into is it possible, based on his chart, that this person can be taking advantage of, or is he a monster, or he is actually was taken advantage of, or both. And then in the end of the video, I will make an analysis of his current dasha, which is Sun Rahu, Sun Jupiter, these two, and what we can expect in the nearest future for him based on dasha and based on transits. I'm not going to go into Varshaphala, I'm not going to go into other Jaimini dasha system. Otherwise, this will be way too long of the video. Okay, so let's go. First of all, he's a Lagna, or rising sign, is Cancer. I'm using sidereal zodiac. This is what I work with, and this is what I found with the years of practice, and the most reliable on. I use Lahiri, Chitra Paksha, Ayanamsa. So we see here first and foremost ascendant both ascendant and lagna in Sarpadrekana, and ascendant in Āśleṣā, which is again snakes. And so snakes all over. And the period of the current period he's living is Sun. Very tricky period. It started 2024. It's a period of the 8th house, and it's together with Mercury. Mercury is co-ruler of his lagna. So I'm speaking about the chart. I'm speaking about the person. I don't know about him anything. So the native is born under a sign of deep instinct, secrecy, and psychic sensitivity. Cancer rising in Āśleṣā has a very penetrating mind, the type that senses motives before words are spoken. So he already hyper vigilant. He feels everything, he sees everything, and sometimes it can disturb. Psychic, and it can disturb the mind. It can make person overreactive as well. This is a serpent soul placement, protective, intelligent, but on the lower vibrational frequency, as we all know, we all can go with our placements, whatever we have cards. Once we're born, we have been given cards from the universe, and what we're going to do with these cards, it's all depend on our own will, our own responsibility. Partially, of course, it depends on environment, it depends on the upbringings, but we have the final word, especially when we're speaking about someone who's 65 years old. So on the lower vibrational frequency, it can be entanglement in emotional undercurrents. So this is something that person was born into, to being under this volatility, emotional chaos. But by the age of 20, with the help of environment, with the help of upbringings, with the help of mother, fathers, teachers, it's supposed to be mastered. It's supposed to be conquered. Uranus in Lagna here we see. It brings another layer, and it's, by the way, it's ruling 8th house. It's ruling Aquarius, so it gives us another layer of direction, of connection between the 1st house and 8th house. And it's restless nervous system this person have. Intuitive flashes mixed with volatility. The person's presence can feel magnetic yet unsettling to others. If you watch any of his interview, unsettling will be the right word of what you feel when you look at him. So now 8th house, let's focus on the 8th house, right? Because we have here a lot of things happening. Now, by the way, Pluto also aspecting 8th house as well. So there's a sort of a mental core of the chart, right? It's because Sun is where person wants to shine, and Mercury and have an ability to shine, right? And Mercury shows also mental capacity and communicative capacity. So the person is investigative, analytical, and has an investigative, analytical, and reformative mind drawn toward secrets, psychology, and taboo knowledge. The Pluto-Mercury Sun combination here gives sharp intellect and capacity to uncover corruption or hidden patterns, but also it creates inner tension, a constant need to regenerate through crisis. If there's no crisis around, he needs to create the crisis to getting this sense feeling of being reborn. So it's like a phoenix constantly getting burned, and he needs to have this pattern of rising from ashes. Speech and ideas, 2nd and 8th house axis, can be provocative or transformative. So it's one or the another. If person goes through the low vibrational frequency and low vibrational manifestation of his chart's planets and aspects and grahas, so he either bringing transformation or he bringing destroy. He's bringing destruction and transformation and provocation. Now, let's go to the moon in Scorpio. Moon is also in Sarpadrekana and it's square with the sun. So there's inside of his mind, there's a tension right away between his emotional mind, his emotional intellect, and his sense of being, self, his ego. Probably also there, it can be a sign of some sort of tension between mother and father in his life as well. Now, moon debilitated in 5th house. I always think about the chart of Stephen King when I see a chart of Cancer rising with moon debilitated. But in Stephen King's chart, there's Gajakeshari yoga forming. So moon is not alone. It's with Jupiter ruling of the 9th house. So it gives this uplifting to the mental mind. It gives this rising energies to vibration. Here, there's nothing about it. The only connection with Jupiter here is through the Nakshatra ruler, through Vishakha, which not bad, not bad. It's already good. Now, it is first and foremost moon in Scorpio. It's a deep emotional intensity. A person needs to deal with it on daily basis. His mood can fluctuate from up and down throughout the day. One moment he's happy, another moment he's not, and this is something that people around have to deal with, and it's not always easy, of course. The moon seeks control over feelings, but because there's too many feelings, and she's tired of this sometimes, but often meets emotional turbulence. In Vishakha, ruled by Jupiter, it seeks growth through trials, emotional evolution through loyalty, love, and of course also disappointment. This is inevitable. The life will throw like a cupcakes at him, disappointments after disappointments, to train his emotional mind. Moon is Navamsha. In Navamsha, the moon, we always watch Navamsha in Vedic astrology as a complementary, almost equal chart. It's a chart of the soul, it's a chart of the what products, what each planet can bring into fruition. So it's sort of Rasi is a tree, Navamsha is apples on this tree. And moon here is in its own sign, although it's again it's afflicted by being with Pluto and Rahu Ketu axis. So it's giving some saving grace to his emotional mind, right? It's showing that eventually he will be able to master this fluctuations of emotions after periods of psychological deaths and rebirths through the 8th house. Now, let's get to his 6th house, where we see this Jupiter that is supportive to the moon and Saturn. They're far from each other in degrees. But Jupiter here is strong in its own sign. And Saturn here is the ruler of the 8th house. Again, we see wherever we watch in the chart, we see a very strong connection with 8th house or Scorpio. So it forms Viparita Raja Yoga. It says success through adversity, power born from struggle, healing through service, or crisis management eventually. The person can thrive in complex situations, especially those involving health, research, or social reformations. Why Saturn is important here? Because Saturn is the first years of his life. He was born into Jupiter, but then from 1 year to 20 years old, he was living through Saturn period. So he was a planet that was ruling his life in the first, the most important years of formation of psyche in a person. Saturn is placed in Venus Nakshatra, Purvashadha, and it's in the sign of enemy. So it's a functional and natural malefic. But it's in the Pushkara Navamsha, so it's definitely has source of strength. Now it's showing early responsibility or pressure in dynamics of dealing with people. So this is what he was born into. Now I will explain later why Saturn is so important and Venus in regards to his older brother, King Charles, and how it affected his early developmental years. Now, seventh house is, we see here, exalted Mars with Venus. They are not in a war, in a planetary war, but Venus definitely very close to Mars, so it's definitely very much afflicted. They are forming Raja Yoga, so they're definitely bringing uplifting and strengthening characteristics to person's life, to person's character. Together, they give magnetism, leadership, and strong will. The person may attract intense or fated partnerships. Relationships often mirror the inner power struggle between control and vulnerability. Mars as Yogacaraka channels ambition through strategic alliances, and 7-1 aspect energizes the Lagna, giving confidence, charisma, and warrior aura. Mars is forming Kuja dosha. It's called something that does not help building relationships like romantic or marriage. So he got married in Mercury Venus, and then Mercury Rahu, they got separated. Mercury Saturn, they got divorced. Here it's very easy to see because Saturn is a ruler of the house of partnership, in the house of struggle and battlefield and fighting. So no wonder they got separated. And I would say if astrology consulted him, they would explain him that it's very important for him not to get married before 30 years old. Otherwise, the most likely relationship will fail. And let's see, his marriage happened in 1986, year when I was born. Mamma mia. Yes, so he was 26 years old. It was way too early for him. If he would wait like at least 5, 6, 7 years, he would get into more maturity to be, he would be more of a marriage material. Let's put it this way. Now, so summary here and the key traits. We see the triumph through challenges, resilience, capacity to rebuild himself. All the time, the cycles of death and rebirth, and very psychologically intense. He definitely has a charisma, leadership, attraction to power, and artistry. He's very rebellious. He doesn't like following the rules. He's against norms. He has penetrating intellect, researcher's mind, persuasive speech. Moon here bringing him emotional depth, psychic empathy, healing potential. But again, when someone has psychic talents, it doesn't mean that they're gonna use it for good. And he is very emotional, reactive. He needs to learn from early age on, with these placements of Moon and Mars, how to handle stress, how to handle his own up and downs, how to handle himself, how to ground himself. So early life, Saturn period, it brings him learning life through contrast. Faith versus fear, idealism versus realism, likely exposure to instability or intense environments that awakened deep awareness early on. We all know how they raise kids in the palace. They get separated from mother right away. They mostly don't see the father. They surrounded by nannies and sent to boarding schools very early on. Needless to say that it's not healthy environment for growing healthy psyche. Probably it was with a certain intentions to be done like this. So people are easier to be manipulated later on in life. So core conflict here, desire for emotional security. He really wants it, but there's also need for intensity and freedom, and need for constant transformation. His strength is that his transformational capacity. He always will be able to regenerates himself after every fall. Challenge here to learn how to balance intellect with emotion, and how to channel this serpentine intuition without self-poisoning through suspicion or over control. With those placements, the person is like, if goes to the higher vibrational frequencies, can be amazing psychologists, amazing can do amazing crisis counseling, investigative or reformist works. Again, going to his early life, just a little bit more scratch the surface toward this direction. Moon in Scorpio is showing the mother figure that can appear loving yet guarded. She can create this feeling that affection has to be earned. Now, Sun in the 8th house and Ketu in the 9th house show us that the father principle was absent, preoccupied. Here, moral guidance is replaced by unspoken rules. Let's see his older brother. It's a 11th house, and we see that the ruler is Venus again, with Mars in the 7th house. And Saturn is in this period in Nakshatra ruled by Venus is obviously activating themes of home, inner peace, inner foundation, entangled with his older brother, and all in the 7th house of battlefield, rivalry, and partnerships. So here, from psychological point of view, the son that is not the oldest in the family of royals, he might have this complex
I will never be first. So why the heck I need to even try be better? Why I need to even try to be good or to earn something when it will never be good enough? I will never be good enough for my parents. So this intensify the need to gain love through rebellion or visibility. No matter with which tools it will be gained. And in more than often in this situation, kids are getting this attention from parents. If they don't get attention by being good, they getting attention by being bad. So psychologically, it describes a young person who internalizes attention as proof of worth by moon placement. And when attention comes only after breaking boundaries, a lifelong link forms between transgression and love. If anyone who's watching this have a dog, you understand how it works. I'm a dog person, and like the way people train dogs, it's the same way kids are trained when they're in the early childhood. Whenever there's attention given to the kid when he's doing something bad, he knows that like this he gets attention, and if he doesn't get in any other way attention, he will keep doing bad things. So it's crucially important to break the cycle and focus on what the kid is doing good. And slowly but surely, this is how we change this link in the brain of kids. Now, so the Saturn Mahadasha was from 1 to 20, 23 or 20, 20 years old. And here, first and foremost, it's the person lives in a constant rivalry and constant this pattern of deed consequences. Jupiter is in its own sign, definitely ruler of the ninth house, definitely helps. And it also shows that the father figure actually involved in the process. And he helps sometimes whenever he can to build this inner endurance. Emotionally, this can feel like growing up under constant judgment, though, having to prove worth through service or obedience. Now, just to double check a few things, we go to the divisional chart about the parents. And here, Saturn is Lagnesh, and it's aspecting its own sign and Lagna, so it gives the support. So he definitely felt support in his family, but we can also here see in total opposition Mars and Jupiter as well in the first house. So what we can see about this, that the theme points to complex or conditional affection within the maternal line, love mixed with duty, expectations, or secrecy. Why? Because we see here Moon in Scorpio. Oh wait. So speaking about Saturn, again, it echoes this tension between authority and autonomy. Constant pull and push. Regarding mother, Saturn occupies Venus ruled nakshatra, and Venus joins Ketu here in the 11th house. And it can also be linked to love mixed with duty and expectations or secrecy. Could be something like an emotional nourishment, may have felt transactional or more often unavailable, producing defensive detachment and a tendency to test love through conflict. Now, next part will be about Mars and Venus and sexual energy, sexual desires. I will analyze D1, D9, and D30 charts regarding those themes. So, Mars and Venus are always analyzed regarding this topic of the personal character and life. And here we see magnetic, complex, and transformative sexuality. Mars as Yoga Karaka stands in full dignity in Capricorn. It's a strategic, disciplined, and powerful in relationships. He needs to be dominant figure. Venus ruler of the 4th and 11th houses, follows just a degree ahead, so they're not in planetary war. Still, Mars is heavily afflicting Venus and showing that emotional security and social belonging are sought through passionate and sometimes experimental bonds. Why I talk about experimental? Because more than often I see that when Mars and Venus together, especially when they're together, or they are in any relationship, in any aspect, in any connection, there's a tendency to explore different types of sexuality. So it can be any open sexual experiments. Now, because both planets in Aquarius in D9 in Navamsha, in the 3rd house, and Uranus is here. So we, first of all, 3rd house in Aquarius, so this gives like curiosity, independence, and attraction to what is unconventional. Yet again, the efforts in a sexual life, in a romantic life, will be toward everything that is have this like air intellectual expression. Love is explored through ideas and ideals as much as through the body. This often, again, another confirmation for that it produces fluid or non-traditional relationship patterns where gender roles or orientation can shift according to inner evolution rather than social definition. Here, I just want to say something about these D2 chart. Here we can see in Labha Manduka Hora, you see here Venus and Mars together in the 9th house, and Mars again exalted. And it's a ruler of the 1st house in the 9th house. So in this divisional chart, this combination screams that the person cannot stop. It cannot get enough of everything that symbolizes Venus and Mars. It doesn't know how to stop. He doesn't know how to stop. It's a first and foremost red flag for any form of sexual addiction. This is number 1. Number 2. Okay, so in D3 type of chart that's called Samnatha, we can check his sexual desires, and here we see way too many afflictions. So Saturn is with Moon. Saturn is also aspecting Lagnesh and Venus and Mars together. And Mars is in Parivarhana with Jupiter here. That is creating, Jupiter here is creating Dhyana Yoga. So in this case, when we watch the chart about the money question, it would show a lot of money. But now we're watching the chart regarding his sexual desires, and it shows that there's a countless and boundless sexual desires that very hard to fulfill. So it's almost like a black hole in that area. That person is will never be able to fulfill. Now let's get back to our normal things. So now I will watch also together regarding the relationship and sexual desires. And there's important to see the 30 chart, and we know the time of the birth exact to the minute. So here we see Venus, the planet of love, harmony, and peace, is debilitated in the 7th house of relationship, and the ruler of 8 and 8 from 8th third. This is the worst affliction that you can get in this chart. So when the planet is ruling 8th house in D30, it brings problems into the house and into the houses it rules in Rasi chart. So what we see here, it's intense desire intertwined with criticism, guilt, or health stress connected to relationship, first and foremost. Now Mars is Maraka here, ruler of the second, and Venus is a Maraka by being in the 7th house, and they're together in the house of relationship. They bring this themes of sudden surges of passion, of conflict. Desire may feel compulsive, leading to lessons about self-control and discernment. Question mark is like, will the person will ever be able to learn this lesson? Āśleṣā to the moon in Navamsha, and I make the whole other material about Āśleṣā. It brings emotional vulnerability, and this bring triggers to love matters. Affection can bring both nourishment and exhaustion. So taking together this configuration, it can suggest that soul needs to learn how to balance between body urges and intellect, intimacy and independence. Early life may show this period of hypersexual curiosity or attraction to both masculine and feminine types, followed by phases of withdrawal or celibacy. Needless to say that royals need continuation of their line. So I don't think it's I don't think that homosexuality is something that accessible there as something like an open thing. So here it might be a situation, and I'm totally fantasizing now, that a person with certain needs in sexuality has to block them, cover them up, put it in the drawer far away so nobody see it, and only this can create this big rebellion toward system, big rebellion toward mother and father, big rebellion toward why on earth I cannot be who I am, why on earth I cannot love who I am, why on earth I cannot be with who I am, with who I want to be. And so this also can be manifested as this passive aggressive domination and big hatred towards women in general. Now, over time, ideally, with the right circumstances, the person should refine Venus through awareness, learning that genuine union requires not only chemistry but emotional safety. But did he have the right circumstances to develop this? I don't think so. The final stage of maturity comes when Mars disciplined fire is used for creative or spiritual purpose, and Venus sensitivity becomes compassion rather than craving. I don't think this is the case here. All the paths toward developing this were blocked, and it has been put in taboo on that. So keywords here, we see magnetic presence, yes, fluid identity, yes, experimental love, karmic passion, healing through relationship, learning emotional discipline, no. That's a very sharp configuration here, and almost feel like a trap for him, like a loop or circuit that he was not able to get out or properly transform into something higher frequency or something more beautiful, more healthy. On the lower expression, this Mars-Venus connection in the 7th house show us this fire dominating the water. Relationship feel like battlegrounds of dominance and control for him. Venus pleasure under Mars will can create cycles of passion, guilt, detachment, craving again. Passion, guilt, detachment, craving again. We have multiple Thana yogas here in Navamsha and D30, which show us lots of different relationships, different connections, different experiments. Because Venus is the 8th lord to the moon in Navamsha, because of that, intimacy easily turns this psychological drain or self sabotage. In D30, Venus is debilitated in 7th again, which shows shame, judgment, obsession around sexuality, over calculation, over intellectualizing the whole topics of relationships. And it's almost like, I know it's destroying me, but I can't stop. I know it's destroying me. It's like what? Multiple relationship, like a different experiments, but remember we checked in the D2 chart, he cannot stop. Whenever he likes something, he cannot stop. There's a multiple over sexual factors, hunger for this, a black hole that cannot be filled. Now, about the current situation with an entanglement with a scandal with Epstein, here I like from astrological point of view, I see experiments. I see no taboo in this. But there's a certain points that can show like desire to be with hits, right? There's no such thing here. I couldn't find it here. But I found something else. First of all, I want to point something here that the person in D2 chart, I don't want to open now because all the settings will go again and it's almost 1 hour chart. But in D2 chart, that is Labha Manduk, there's a Venus in the first house ruler with Mars. I already said that it's he cannot stop, right? But there's also the ruler of the 2nd house in 8 with the sun, and Saturn is aspecting it. So it means that person is easily can flip the truth. He can lie very easily. From one side, it can be seen as, yes, he definitely did something or this or that. But from another side, it can also shows us, together with what I'm gonna say now in the next part, a very short part because the video is very long already, is that the person can be set up. This person can be set up, and there's certain things that he can say by those who set him up, or he cannot. And so it's easy to tell him what to say and what not. Now, what I wanted to point in this part is when Lagna Lord is connected with a 6, 8, or moon, or sun, right? And we have sun here with the ruler of 12, and Saturn is aspecting it. So all Dusthana's houses are on, they are switched on. So we can see here that the person can get into the situations beyond their doing. Situations where his or her image or intentions are misunderstood. Danger from deceit or conspiracy, there is, because there's big connection between 6 and 8 house. When the 8th lord joins the Lagna lord, the native suffers from secret enemies and plots. It's from Parashara text, the ancient text. Here we see connection of 1st and 8th house by Mercury, Nakshatra, the ruler of 1st house, Nakshatra, and square between sun and moon. Mercury here in the 8th house, in the connection with the 12th house. The words of the person can be misunderstood or twisted. And we have here now, see that his dasha is Sun and Rahu. Sun is connected by Nakshatra ruler with Rahu, and Saturn is connecting, is aspecting Sun. So whenever we see with these afflictions and during the dasha period connected, that are connecting Rahu, Saturn, or Rahu, Mercury, this is a heavy karma for of injustice, depression, or entrapment. Viparita Raja Yoga can show us, can give us a hint that there will be success after accusation or fall. He might be proven not maybe innocent completely, but some sort of accusation can be taken off him. The 2nd house we have afflicted here because there's a Pluto here. And so that's a sign for speech used against the natives. The Rahu here in 3rd house can show us false friends, or co-conspirators. So overall, Sun Mahadasha can mean life energy channel is under stress during this period. Vitality has to move through houses of pressure, depth, or hidden conditions. Now, when I see the picture scary and dangerous like this, also it's square to moon, which is Lagnesh, another combination for reduced life force and actually danger for him physically. The D8 divisional chart is used. Sun here, the ruler of the 12th house in the 5th house with the Svakshatra, very strong Saturn, ruler of 6. So this link with the 12th house repeats here as well, which is loss or confinement, but Saturn is strong here. The planet is not good when it's strong in D8 chart, but it might bring some sort of protection through discipline and karma cleansing work. I don't know if it's a case in this situation. But overall, I would say that there is a sign of crisis as well here. So the chart shows a period of vulnerability and forced transformation during Mahadasha Sun. Technically, danger to life window in classical language is open. And just to close with Karesh. Karesh is something that I am doing very deep research now, and when it's finalized, I will publish this. But basically, it's not just a planet, but also its degrees. It has a degrees when slow moving malefic going through. It can bring danger or long-lasting circumstances and consequences to the person. Here we see, so his Karesh degrees are in Aquarius and Gemini. Gemini is not touched by now, right now, but Rahu is transiting through Aquarius, and another 1 year or 1 year and a half. It's going to be very hard for Prince Andrew. But we also see here the Jupiter that just entered Cancer, and then for a few months it will get out of Cancer again, and then it will go back for a year or so. So Karesh degrees are responsible for exhaustion, conflict, or death-like experiences. It represents this part of the chart where old karmic residue has to burn off. And when Rahu transits those degrees, the person is pulled toward the unresolved shadow of that planet. Because in this chart, Venus in Karesha to the moon, Rahu over degree of this acts like a magnifying glass over all Venusian vulnerabilities. It can be old addictions, relationship patterns, or aesthetic or sexual obsessions can resurface. Temptations appear in glamorous or illusory forms because Rahu promises pleasure but delivers anxiety. Unfinished karma has to be burned in love, money, or body image re-emerge to be purified. And the nervous system becomes hyperactive to emotional stimulation. He has a saving grace, as I already mentioned. It's a Jupiter transiting first house, and it's a ruler of 9th house in 6th house of battles, including courts. So he's a saving grace for Prince Andrew. And even if Rahu gives this chaos, Jupiter will definitely protect him. That's my verdict. His physical health and confidence will improve. Maybe he will give him some spiritual guidance through people or through his own inner work if he's doing something like this. It can be a guidance through a mentor, through a book or event that can shift his worldview. His self-definition can change profoundly. The individual may begin shedding false identities built from pain. And when Jupiter aspects the 7th house, it can heal relationships or bring a wise companion who reflects maturity rather than chaos. This I don't know because he also have a Pluto right now in the 7th house, which bring this combative and battle energy to any contracts and partnerships as well. So overall, we see the person that is manipulative, defensive, secretive, emotional, volatile. He has mood swings, maybe even paranoia. There's a self-destruction, destructive obsessions, trouble trusting anyone as well. There's troubles in regarding his sexual identity early on, and then because some things had to be put in the faraway drawer, that created a sort of a split in his psyche. This Sun, Mercury, Pluto, with Pluto effect on 8th house, can bring into the person's mind cynicism, conspirational thinking, verbal aggression, or burnout from over analysis. It can be compulsive relationship, sexual excess, or using passion to mask loneliness based on the Mars, Venus in the 10 in the 7th house and all divisional charts. Saturn with Jupiter can bring resentment, self-blame, or chronic stress illness to the person. And Uranus add this unpredictable reactions, alienation, or rebellion for its own sake. From the astrological point of view, I don't know from where to start, but psychologically, this person definitely needs to work with a psychotherapist. Okay, it's a little over than 1 hour I'm making this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed. Tell me who want you to for me to analyze next to make this sort of astropsychological dissection of the psyche. And I will see you in the next videos. Bye.